Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 14. As a first presenter, let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Shamimi.
I'm Nadratul Huda.
I'm Anishaira.
I am Anis Amira.
I am Delima Putri.
Today, we are going to present our final year project for data communication and networking. Generally, we have 7 weeks to complete project, so it was sufficient time enough to complete our task successfully. Okay, first let me take a look on our home page. Given questions, this scenario of this project is referring to figure 1 above. Below. Figure 1 shows the logical network flow from a home network to UTM facilities. In this figure, a UTM lecturer is trying to access the ULAN system located in the UTM network facilities. The lecturer is using his modem to connect to the public network before able to connect to the UTM facilities. From the UTM network, the data then was forwarded to the ITCP where the ULAN system server is located. Okay, on our home page, there was additional info. First, how to memorize 7 OSI model layer. So we got a list of synonyms there. All people seem to need data processing. As we know, OSI model layer has 7 layers, and first, A for application, P for presentation, S for session, T for transport, and next N for network, D for data link layer, P for physical. And another additional info, what is an IP address? Like the street address for your home, an IP address identifies network computers. It helps traffic flow between computers because each one has its own IP address. Next, this is our kind of reflection towards the project. Behind the scene, let me read this. First of all, we would like to thank Dr. Elman for this semester. Without him, we may not be able to finish this project. But for most, we find a little bit difficult to discuss with each member, as some of us do have a problem with the internet connection. But after all the difficulties, we managed to finish it. We divided all the work square and square as we do synchronous discussion by video call using Microsoft Teams. There, we discuss elaborately in every details that are needed in this project. Okay, that's all from home page. We will go to the next page. Ara will explain for the OSI model layer.
Okay, so for OSI model layer, the first flow is from the sender, which from the application layer, which is layer 7, the application layer will provide services for network application with the help of protocol for UTM's lecturers such as HTTP, FTP, IRC, SSH, and DNS, where the lecturer will transfer the data to the users in the ULAN server through FTP, which is used for transmitting files between computers on the internet over TCP or IP connections. The next layer is presentation layer, which is the layer number 6. The presentation layer is the process where the data is translated, encryption, and compression occurs to ensure the data is a usable format for the user to understand the data better. So for the next layer is session layer in layer 5. The session layer is the layer that will maintain the connections and is responsible for controlling ports and session between the sender, which is the lecturers, and the receiver, IT center endpoint. For the layer 4, which is transport layer, is responsible for delivering messages between these two communication centers. which is sender, lecturers, and receiver, IT center. It will accept data from session layer, then breaks it into packets and deliver to network layer. So next, network layer, which is layer 3, will receive the packets from transport layer and then decided which part the data will take, which is in the ULAN system server. For the layer 2, data link layer, the protocol data unit, PDU, is called frame, that the data link layer will define the suitable format on the network. Then the data is encoded into bits and sent to the physical layer. The last layer is physical layer, where the layer will then convert the data in bits to be sent to the transmission mediums, whether wired or wireless. Then the lecturers connect the device to the modem and transmit bits to each node in the system.
Okay. So for the receiver, we also go to OSI model layer, which is for first one is physical layer. Data in bits is received by the receiver and check if the address belong to receiver, and the bit will convert into frame to send to the data link layer. Otherwise, the data will be rejected by the server. Second layer is data link layer. The data frame received by the physical layer will then be converted into packet. The third layer, which is network layer. Network layer will deliver segment from data link layer to the transport layer. And then the fourth one is transport layer. The data will be read by the transport layer and sent the data to the assigned destination where IP address directed. Next, season layer. Season layer will read the data and wait for the process to send the data to the destination through the firewall. And then we go to presentation layer. The data is combined into segments, then being translated, descripted, and compressed into understandable data that the server could read. And last, application layer. The application layer receives the data from the network and prepares the data for user to use. That's all for OSI model layer.
Okay, so for the subnetting calculation, we started from the subnetting definition. Subnetting is the method of breaking a network into two networks to smaller ones. It is to improve the efficiency of routing that can help to decrease the size of broadcast domain and protect the network. So the next one is Subnet Mask. Subnet Mask is a 32-bit address that used in IP address to differentiate between a network address and a host address. A subnet mask defines which part of the network address and the host address is an IP address. They are not shown inside the data packet traversing the internet. They hold the destination IP address that will be paired with a subnet by a router. So let's start with our subnetting calculation. The given network in this project is 192.168.0.0/16. So the first slide over here, we use rule class C, where the first repeats are always 110. First, we have to convert the decimal network prefix that given into binary. So as you guys can see, 192, when it converted to binary, the first 3 digits is 110. So we can say that the class C subnet mask is 255, where it should be octet for the 2 area over here that will be total 16 bits. That's why it's over 16. So in this project, we have 30 different departments to make a 30 usable subnet. We have used FLSM method, which stand for Fixed Length Subnet Mask. So the formula to calculate the quantity subnet is over here, and we have to borrow bits using the FLSM method. So the first one, the formula that we are using is 2BB minus 2. As you guys can see, it's 30 because we have 30 different departments or equal to 30 usable subnets. So we have to put a 30 over here, then we have to convert it into 32. After we move the negative 2 over here, then we have to make it 2 to the power of 5. Then we can cross the 2 here, then the borrowed bits will equal to 5. This is the formula to find the number of hosts for each subnet. So the formula to find the host for each subnet is 2BL minus 2. We use 16 because we took the value from here. Then 5 is the borrowed bit. So the total host that subnet have is 2056 hosts. So based on the hosts that we are calculated just now, we have 2046 hosts. So it has 30 subnets. It's gonna be too long for us to write 30 subnets all together in one table. So we just conclude it until we got the subnet for the IT center. For the conclusion, as for our calculation, we have concluded that the subnet 10, which equal to 11 subnet, is the IT center address that being assigned. It is because after all the calculation that we have made above, the network address, we got the given prefix based on the question. So the network address is 192.168.80.0. Same goes to the IP address and broadcast address. So for the conclusion, 192 and 164.80.3 is the third available address in IT center subnet. Therefore, it is where the user system server will be assigned. So the Lima Putri will explain more about TCP and IP configuration.
So we move to produce on how to configure the IP address on the server. Let's exploring TCP or IP setting configuration using GUI appearance. First of all, you must to search setting in Start menu. Second step, click on Network and Internet setting. Step 3, choose Wi-Fi and click Change Adapter options to view the local area connection status, which is user can view and modify detailed information of existing TCP IP setting. Next, click on Wi-Fi. For the next step, you must to click Properties button to configure or modify any information about existing TCP IP setting. Step 6, choose Internet Protocol version 4, then click Properties. And the last step, to get fixed IP settings, select Use the following IP address and select Use the following DNS server address. Manually enter the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS server. The IP address is 192.168.803. After done enter all the value, you actually done to configure the IP address on the server by yourself. That's all from us. Thank you.